After Man United stopped Liverpool from securing top spots, we're going to go through the fixtures here and see who else could spoil Klopp's last dance. Don't scream no just yet. We're going to go through game by game, lots of games obviously for Liverpool to play. And I think a lot of people think that Liverpool got a solid run of fixtures, but underneath the surface, is there more to it? Now, of course, we've got Liverpool against Atalanta in the Europa League, so you don't need to predict that. We've done a whole preview on that, which you can go and enjoy. Let's stick with the Premier League games, of course, because that's what we're talking about. So, Sunday, the 14th of April, up against Crystal Palace at home. They've obviously just played Man City. Gave them a couple of wobbles, I guess. Obviously went in the lead in that game and were clinical, actually, more so than we've seen Crystal Palace, generally in terms of our thoughts with them. What are your thoughts on Crystal Palace, and do you see anything coming from this one as someone who watched it closely as a Man City fan?
They played well. They've got a lot better since Glasner took over. I think they've got a lot better. They are a bit of a bogey team for City, so I always feel like those games aren't actually that good to compare to other games. There is just something about Crystal Palace against City which I don't understand. And of course they're at Selhurst Park and the atmosphere was absolutely rocking. I know we don't want to completely go on about excuses, but it was a 12:30 kickoff, which always kind of skews things as well, I feel, a little bit.
Yeah, very true.
We might have had a few of those this season.
No. I mean, we still won 4-2. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying that I don't think there's a huge amount to learn from that game.
But you needed that De Bruyne moment, didn't you?
Needed the De Bruyne moment, but it felt like it was always coming.
Okay.
I think even at 1-0, it just felt there was a calm actually amongst the City fans. It wasn't like no one was panicking at any point. It felt like it was coming.
From a broad point of view, the home games, do they sort of give you a sense of calm because you just think there's just such energy at Anfield?
Yeah, I think Liverpool at home won't drop many points. And I think there'll be certain games that Liverpool have to look at, like Arsenal have been, and go, this is the game we need to score 2 or 3, because goal difference could become critical. And Liverpool play Atalanta, like you mentioned, 3 or 4 days before that, where I think they'll go gung-ho. I think if there ever was a time for Liverpool's forwards to snap into gear, it's probably now. And I think the sort of player that's made for this run is Diogo Jota, someone who wants to put the ball in the back of the net. And I think the Crystal Palace game is made for that. City had a few moments where they got into the box and just didn't make great decisions. Liverpool had many of those against United. Jota probably is the deciding factor.
Yeah, in terms of the history of the games, you've had, there was the draw right at the start of last season. Darwin got sent off in that one, so maybe something to keep an eye out in terms of Anderson and Nunez. But also in other games, you've absolutely pumped them at different times. So I think we'd all expect Liverpool to make it through that game. We'll keep moving on. Of course, you got the Atalanta second leg, so they'll either be feeling good or obviously disappointed with that. And I think the big thing with the Europa League is that final in Dublin. I think, so many Liverpool fans in Dublin and in Ireland, of course. So they'll be desperate to get there regardless. And then that Sunday, game against Fulham.
Tricky game.
You're worried about this one?
Yeah, because I think Marco Silva's really underrated.
I made a massive mistake last year where I was going through the sort of relegation battle and Fulham were playing them all. And I went, well, they'll be on the beach because they're fine. They pumped So this year's similar thing where they're kind of mid-table, but they've got some talented players knocking about as well. Yeah. Could be tricky. And actually, in terms of the games, you got the 18th, then the 21st. The 21st and the 24th, the Wednesday game against Everton, and then the 27th of April against West Ham. Those three, I don't see you winning all three of those.
I'm in agreement. I think I look at, if we put all 3 games together, because of the scheduling, I actually think it suits Liverpool. Liverpool like going back to back to back. I think even Virgil van Dijk said in an interview, we prefer playing midweek. There's an early kickoff there as well, and Klopp hates those. And it's West Ham. The Everton one's become even more interesting because Everton have just been deducted 2 points in the middle of recording here, so they're going to be absolutely desperate. They want to spoil a party. I'll come back to Fulham again, though. That is the one that I think Liverpool will drop points in, because Fulham have been very good against the big sides. They play really attractive football on the counter in those games. But I think because they'll drop points in that one, they'll be fine in the next 2.
Goodison Park is going to be rocking in that game. And Everton have been unfortunate when it comes to XG. A lot of that XG was probably in the first half of the season, and certainly the initial games didn't get the points they deserved from those home games. And obviously got the victory against Burnley, which was crucial for them, but prior to that hadn't won. I think it was in 14 or something like that. So they'll be trying to get themselves sorted out and staying up with that points deduction. How do you see that one, Kim?
Well, it's an interesting one because those 3 games in isolation at any other point of the season, I would think Liverpool are just going to win. But 3 back-to-back away games in a week, as you mentioned, I think they will drop points. And I think it will be in the Everton fixture. I think Everton have completely rallied behind themselves this year with the point deduction and now another point deduction. They're going to want to do everything to spoil Liverpool's party. I remember a couple of seasons ago when it was the 97, I think City got 97, Liverpool got 96 points, or maybe 98, 97, and we played at Goodison Park and City went 1-0 up and Everton fans were celebrating.
Yeah.
Like that's the level of bitterness
yeah.
we're talking about here. And I absolutely love it. And it would mean so much to them, especially in a season where they feel like everything's gone against them, to take something off Liverpool. I can't see them winning, but I think that one will be a draw.
I think what's great as well when you see it on paper is that you've got Fulham. That's a 4:30 game, so that's a big game in British football on a Sunday. The Everton at 8 o'clock under the lights at Goodison Park, if they're still battling it out, is massive as well. And then in a weird way, to have the 12:30 game against West Ham, say they've beaten Fulham and Everton, that might be one where it's hard to get up for it against a West Ham side who probably will be up for it. I think out of those three, there will at least be a draw. That's what I've kind of said for a while. It doesn't get any easier because the week after that, you've then got Tottenham, who you're at home. You're generally very, very strong against Tottenham. And obviously, you lost some points against them earlier in the season. Which shouldn't have occurred, I guess.
I think when you go through this, you have to think Liverpool have a very difficult run, as do Arsenal, but Liverpool do have a tough run. I think Tottenham at home is an interesting one because of that high line. Trent becomes a big person in the next couple of games we're going to discuss.
He should be cooking by then. He should be back.
Yeah, I think that's the other factor we haven't actually spoken about. Liverpool are due to get Alisson, Trent, and Jota back for this run-in, which is huge, and I think that boost could help them along. I think Liverpool beat Tottenham. Tottenham plays City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. They're going to get points off one of them. It ain't going to be any of us two because there's only one of those games they care about. So they're going to get after Arsenal.
Yeah, that's true. I guess, and then the opponents for Tottenham in terms of the Champions League, it feels like Aston Villa in the second to last game at Aston Villa. It'll be interesting to see what space they're in, what injuries they've got. It does look a lot harder than we thought. Up for grabs by that point, isn't it? Every game's going to be a cup final. But it will be interesting to see where Villa are at that stage. Are they out of the Champions League run but safe in that next spot, and are they just focusing maybe on the Conference League? Who knows? Let's get to the last game though. Every year, is it?
Yeah, it is Wolves at home every year.
Every year.
Yeah,
it's always Wolves at home. That is another one where so when I look at the running, because I think Man City have got to play Wolves as well, and I think maybe
away
Arsenal as well. If it gets to that final game, Wolves are tricky customers. They've had a fantastic season under Gary O'Neill. If it gets to the final game, as long as it's not one of the other title rivals, are you not too worried, really? It's just one of those, you'll blow any of them away.
Think about it this way. Headline, boom. Everyone's level, chasing this title. Final day, Anfield, Klopp's last dance. Wolves can do whatever they want in the world. Liverpool are going to beat Wolves on the final day. But if there's nothing to play for, I don't know what happens on that final day. But I think we'll get to that point. I think we'll get there, and all three teams will be able to win it, but there will be a favourite by that point.
Okay, so you think it'll go to the final day? Do you think it'll go to the final day?
No.
Okay.
I don't think it will go to the final day. And I came in here thinking, and I've looked at these fixtures again for Liverpool, and they are harder than I thought they were, and they're harder than I remembered. I think those 3 away games in a row, you'll drop 2 points. I think one of Spurs at home or Villa away, another 2 points, or potentially 3 will be dropped. And I just can't see City. I can't see City dropping more than 3 points to the end of the season. I really can't. And Arsenal's fixture list is horrible. And I think, if we anticipate them to do well, you two anticipate them to do well in the quarterfinal of the Champions League, they'll be in the semi-finals. I think with that fixture list.
Kim's basically saying City won the league.
I think after the Arsenal draw, but it changes all the time, doesn't it? After the Arsenal draw, I thought, oh no, that might be our chance gone. And now I'm thinking, actually, probably favourites, you'd think, statistically, with the probability of the wins that we've got.
I totally get everything you're saying. I think people are broadly afraid to go against City. And I get it.
Yeah.
I absolutely get it. But I think it'll go to the final day, and I think Liverpool will win it.
No, man, you're mad.
I do.
What do you think?
No, I think City are going to win it. This base, where have you got this from? That Liverpool going to win? I don't know.
I said it in January, I'll stick with it. Hey, come on, you Reds. I'll do it. He's not going to.